Welcome to the ASMR podcast.
The smooth, rustling sounds of space. Is that's your angle now?
Where no one can hear you scream. You'll just listen to us eat some food.
Oh, yeah.
We'll just give you good mouth sounds. Maybe some
Mouth
crinkling.
chewy sounds?
Yeah, maybe some crisp bag crackle, you know. Everybody sit back and relax and just enjoy the sounds of middle-class life on a Friday night. And a Wilhelm will scream.
Yeah, right, so I'm testing the Roll20. This has all been plugged in by the adventure that I've downloaded, and I don't know if it's coming through on my side. Tonight is a special episode for our cold open. I have with me two fans that have become podcast friends, that have become patrons, that has become actual cast members. And that's a bit of a journey. That's rare. Let me run some logos and then we'll explain. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of the We Shot First podcast. I am GM Jeff Ball, your host, and we are playing Star Wars Saga Edition, the Dawn of Defiance campaign, as it was originally written, which means it was written for book one. But there are 15 books, and I let the players go nuts in them. And every book we've played, every season that we've played, they've become stronger, more powerful, more aggressive in the Force and in their tactics. Well, I'm just petering along with, Joe Bob Stormtrooper, refusing to ad-lib, I shouldn't say ad-lib, I do a lot of ad-libbing, refusing to adjust the stats to keep up. Well, isn't that my GM duty? Isn't that what all GMs do? Well, we've talked about this quite a bit. We're not going to talk about it right now. What we're going to talk about right now for our opening episode of Season 8 has nothing to do with Season 8 and everything to do with doing 8 seasons of a Star Wars podcast. Tonight, it is my great pleasure to have with me Mr. Doug Baldwin and Mr. Andrew Malberg. And as I said in the cold open, we are talking to two Mongers listeners, fans that had reached out via Discord and texting and had asked questions, had made comments with our little tiny community that I had touched base with and asked questions, and they had responded and things, had become bigger fans of what we do. One became a Star Wars fan, one became a Pathfinder fan of our work, some of the other shows we do. They had become patrons and started slipping us a little cash on the down low to help keep the lights on, to help pay for all the subscriptions and the books that we buy and everything to keep this running, a couple of gear upgrades and everything. And eventually, in some of my deeper, darkest moments of desperation, I reached out to each one of them over the years and said, hey, you really sort of get us. Your comments and everything seem to be on the level with our humor and our style of play, and obviously you listen to us because you like the way we play, and the characters and the players. Would you like to audition? Now, this is not a guarantee. This is just a, hey, come on, meet the cast, get talking, spitball some character ideas. Even maybe sit in for a cameo.
Kidnap my family.
Yeah, I guess your journey was a little bit longer.
Yeah, you kidnapped my family. How are they, by the way? I've been
fine.
wanting to check in on them.
They miss you. They're in the Bermudas somewhere, Triangle or
the Bermudas. I live in the what? In the Bermuda Triangle.
Isn't there like a Star Wars?
At least there's good weather, right? Yeah, that one was Rogue One. That was the one that was done on a beach. I don't know that we want to emulate that particular one of the movies.
That's a particular
that didn't end very well for most of the people there.
Yeah, no kidding. You're right. I started off with something that was cooked up by Doug and myself as a joke, a gag on the players. Players didn't know. And I'd gotten to know Doug a little bit via text and a couple of quick phone calls, and I said, I want to do this bit. And right in the middle of a game, we had discussed rules, as we do, and as most GMs love to like know the rules, or if they don't know the rules, they fake them. And if anyone contests that authority, it's my screen's my game. Meh. It's not my style. I invite people sticking their nose in a book and going, actually, here on page 54, there's a thing, because in the instance of time and space and playing, you go, oh, really? Oh, that's cool. Okay, look, give my guy a +5, give my guy a -4, give your guy, because a lot of players will just like point out the penalties for the NPCs and all the bonuses for themselves, but seem to forget things like, I don't know, piloting checks, basics 101 stuff when they're flying around with a jetpack and things like that. But our players are pretty honest. They like the rule set for the sake of trying to figure out a balance the writer was trying to intend to do in those rules. And if they're broken, all the better to play with, to experiment with, So rules lawyering, having open rules lawyers at the table, became a thing at my table pretty quick. So there we are debating a rule, and I had Doug in a Zoom call, just audio, no video, and they were back and forth with me in a rule and said, I don't want to look this up, and you guys are saying this, and I'm saying that. Hang on a second, something, right? So I reach into my pocket, as it were, and I pull out this phone call with Doug Baldwin, and he's pretending to be, his house is under siege. His family has been, hooded and gagged and tied up. And
pretending. Note he said pretending. I hope everybody saw the air quotes. Where is my family?
No, they're fine. They're fine. They're still pretending. Maybe they took advantage. Like, this is their way away from Doug, They leaned into it. I contacted them and they said, oh yeah, we want out.
They volunteered. Take us, please.
It went, and we didn't really rehearse. I just hit him with an idea. I'm going to do this thing. We're going to back and forth. Please act scared. Follow my lead, and then we will, get to this rule, do a ruling on it as fearfully as you can, and then thank you, and I'll hang up. But right, anyway, Doug was awesome. For something unrehearsed that was just a spitball idea, it went clunky, of course, charming. Gaming at a table is not about like rehearsal, and it's supposed to be throwing something out there and seeing how the players react. So I had an idea on the side that might have been scripted in the fact of the idea, but we didn't rehearse lines. I just said, do this is what's coming. He's like, all right. And he was great. He was awesome. The guys freaking loved it. They thought it was hilarious. Not so much in that you can hear it on the mic, because we always have so many audio problems and backgrounds that a lot of these guys are muting up unless they're directly playing. So we do tend to, especially in the early season, lose that sort of around the table ambient reaction of laughing, giggles, snorts, chips rustling, whatever. But they loved it. And we had done it twice in a second time the following season. Somewhere along the road, I think it was I want to say season 4? 3? 4. When did we bring you in, Doug? Late season 3, early 4?
I think Almost was my first chapter.
Yeah.
That was chapter 4, I think.
All Star Wars parties have you have your Pathfinder D&D party, and they have their arcane guy, your wizard or something, sorcerer. You have your skill guy, your rogue or bard or whatever. You've got your warrior, your fighter, your paladin. You have these 4 corners. In Star Wars, there were tropes. There was your Jedi-ish, there was your scoundrel-ish, there was your guy with money and writs and connections, nobility, whether they were a posh senator or some sleazy guy. And there was usually some sort of droid, cute and sassy like an R2, or fun and somewhat or functional like a 3PO or whatever, or some diehard battle droid or something like that. And we didn't have a droid in the party yet. So, would you play a droid, but your idea is your own? This is one of the things that are missing. So we made up TLXS, and we pitched the idea back and forth about him being this sort of prototype that an NPC gangster droid character that appeared in the very first book had reached out to Dr. Leff and Rahal Oberist, 2 main characters. And so, I've got this prototype, take him for a spin. You're out there being dangerous. And I want all the data. I want all the audio, visual, combat data, everything uploaded to transmittable source and sent back to me for processing for like maybe a unit. I mean, wouldn't it be funny if he was taking all this data and selling it to the Empire and it became something down the road? Wouldn't that be great? You're all fighting the Uber TLX model at the end. That's been done. Pretty sure that kind of idea. Oh no, now we're fighting 1,000 T-1000s. That's been done. We like to be original, right? And Doug, the player, Doug, the rules lawyer, Doug, the fan patron turned cast member. I would like I say patron because I want to give these guys props that they love the show and everything so much they were willing to put into it. The cast members and my own budget, we have all put into this show. Some of these guys are like, oh, just, $5, $10, $20 tier. Just throw me in the Patreon, and that'll be my coffee money. That'll be my contribution to this podcast that you're doing, Jeff. I love to play. I'm doing my thing because Jeff does the editing. Jeff does the directing, blah, blah, blah. These guys show up. They'd worked on the characters. They play, and they always openly share their ideas with me, even about audio and video and stuff. But they're not really involved in the actual editing process. That's all myself. So they threw money at me to help. And I'm not going to lie, I have more cast members paying into the podcast and the Mongers network of several actual play podcasts than we do fans. Now, we do have fans, and we do have fans that are visual. They show up in our Discord, they talk to us, and they listen, and they tell us what they like, they tell us what they don't like. And we even have a handful of patrons that also greatly contribute. Nickel and dime and fat $100 bills. Okay, maybe not. But over time, when one goes into one's stats on a Patreon and you're like, wow, this fan has been with us for 3 years, disappeared, and then resurfaced and came back and rejoined Patreon. And even something like a $2 bill, a $5 bill, over years builds up. And I'm looking at how much money I've spent on this project and how much money came in. And I just, again, thankful, humbled, appreciative that friends, family, internet people that I don't know personally and come to know as gaming buddies, are willing to pitch in a little bit and for their version of, Friday Night Fun so that we can bring you a product that I'm have hope that started off not great audio, became much better audio in 4 episodes. And as season after season, the audio got better, the chemistry got better, the rules got better, the jamming hopefully got better, a little bit better. Everything got better. And here we are at season 8, And I just wanted to kind of pump the brakes and say thank you to you guys. And to you, the fans, the listeners out there. Now, I know you're wondering, we're 15 minutes in and where's frickin' season 8? Please be patient. How many of you have had a gaming group that lasted 8 years? Shall we say, I don't know, 5-10% of the entire gaming community? Oh, you hear those guys? Yes, put your hand out, Doug, we know. You got like a basement where everyone's like fed but chained to the table. Oh, there's Master. He's come to game with us. Could you leave the basement door open so we have a shred of light? You know.
No, that's where you have my family.
Yeah.
I've been my gaming group's been 30 years together. So.
Make them like just leave them with crappy indie games. No real mainstream.
Yeah, we used to play like 8 hours long at the dining room of my fraternity, and now we all do like in the afternoon, and like we have to cancel for the ones who have kids and got to go visit family and all that sort of thing. So 30 years later, still playing. Not the same
internet's
campaign,
a wonderful thing. No. My problem was we would play a couple months or a couple levels. We start level 1 and then get a different idea, or a movie or something would come out and everyone would see us. We're talking about this movie and I'll be like, hey guys, we're very excited about this new thing and what we're playing is cool, but would you like me to try this other thing? And I was like, yeah, okay, and I would jump around from idea to idea, campaign to a campaign, and not really finish the campaigns. And I promised both Joe Gibson and Matt Witt, who are what do you call it? TLG, Live Space, Touchcraft, like people that I physically know from wherever and have actually sat in my home at my table. There's at least 3 of them, if you count Messina as well. And they're like, we would really like, for whatever we do, especially because we're on a microphone, to finish. Well, here we are. How many people have played the Dawn of Defiance campaign and got bored with it? Left it behind? I've enjoyed it immensely. I mean, for out of the gate writing from back in the day, like how old is this? 2001? 2000?
I think it finished in like 2007, 2008. So it's approaching 20 years old. The last books. The first books are over 20 years old. I think it started in like 2005, 2006, and published all of those books in about a 2 to 3 year time span.
Okay. No, that's fine. So let's hear from our other fan / listener. Drew came along, Andrew Malberg, came along in our Pathfinder game, our World of Pathfinder, and all that has not much to do. And he's become a major character in our Monday night games, the FedEx guys that I play with and all that stuff, not this Friday cast. And then I brought him, asked him to come over and play Friday night because characters are unique, solid, quiet, not interruptive, and yet have presence, and here he is putting up with us on a Friday, and I just love the fact how both of you, Doug, you're a gregarious personality like myself. Drew is a little bit more reserved. Like
Are you suggesting that I interrupt you when you're in the middle of talking about something?
No,
I would never do that. That would be rude.
I call it back and forth. Interrupt us, role play us.
Well, Drew, this whole segment here is to talk about Drew, and here you and I are, and he's just sitting there on mute.
Yeah, I do feel bad that guys like Aiden and Drew, like we're in the middle of their turn, and someone will remember something happened, like someone's turn ago, we'll just cut in about rules or whatever. And they're like, okay, getting back to Drew's turn, who's like, the bow is pulled and he's holding the string, and then the DM goes, hang on a second, with one of you guys come back, and he's like, okay, and he just quietly waits, and then drops holding the dice in the air, holding the bowstring back, like, dude, how do you do it? How are you so patient with us? Because Gibson is the same way as you. There's Gibson. There's my son-in-law, Jay Tamlin, that are all so quietly patient because they'll be in the middle of their turn. And you, me, Ryan, Matt Witt, we're all so excited, passionate, and rude. How do you do it, man?
I don't know. It happens everywhere. At work, at my table at home. You just get talked over and stuff. And I think you have to just decide, do you continue just to talk over people until they stop, or do you just kind of let them go and then wait until there's a nice opportune time for you to respond? So
okay,
just happens everywhere.
Very gracious of you, sir, I must say. So we dropped you into a I mean, D20 systems are pretty similar so far. You know, you can go from D&D basic to advanced D&D, on and on and on. There's a lot of different feats, there's a lot of different approaches, but you roll a 20-sided dice. You are looking to hit the guy's armor class. You have an action to attack. You can do some movement on the board, X amount of squares. The numbers change a bit, but the idea of your turn, do this, 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 and you're going to shoot something, you're going to use a skill, you're going to move around, and you're done. Pretty basic stuff. Every D20 game, right? But when they're so similar, and you have a feat called dodge in this game, and a feat called something else, but similar, and the feat power attack is used, but it applies differently to the slightly different rule set. I mean, Saga is based on a 5 plus, 5 minus. Everything is +5, -5, +10, -10, +15, +20, where your classic D&Ds were 2, 4, 6, 8 kind of thing, 2, 4, 8, right? And that takes a bit of getting around because 2, 4, 8 at the top. To go 5, 10, 20. It's a big gap in numbers, and players are going, I have a negative what now? Right? So my first question for, shall we say, Drew and Doug in the hot seat is starting with Drew, so that we have the opportunity to talk over him, Doug, don't worry. Even though you have seniority. Did you find...
I'm just waiting for him to come off mute so that I can talk. He hasn't come off mute yet, but I'm waiting.
Have you, did you find last season, was it frustrating in the rules? Was it easier for you to jump in? What were your thoughts on the actual rule set? Because you did play a full season with us. I know you were kind of in the backdrop, but patiently waiting, watching all the dice bounce around, watching us haggle out all the rules.
I think it was a lot easier this time. I think I dabbled in it with you guys for a cameo once or something like that. I knew the rules a little bit. I did listen to the show for, I don't know, part of a season or maybe even a full season. And it wasn't very different compared to other tabletop role-playing games. So it was pretty easy to get into. What I found probably the hardest with this was the character creation. It's a little confusing, especially when you start adding in prestige classes and things like that. But luckily, we have a lot of guys that help me out, like Doug. So,
like Doug.
If it wasn't for Doug,
yeah,
it would have been a lot harder for me to, I think, to even get a guy started.
And Jay, because I know, like, you'll get Jay will disappear. I mean, the guy literally lives in Japan right now with my daughter. And then I'll get this text, because their night is our day. I'll get this book-long text. So I was reading, and this, but the feat of this, and this, and this, and this, and but the feat of that. Like, you saw him go off about our Dice for Dishonor, where you saw that chat where you just, bam, something about just a weapon change. And you get block text that's worse than mine, right? Clever guy. Takes his time, reads the rules, learns them. You know, he has that mind that can absorb and keep that information, where mine's always leaking out going, I'm like, guys, is it the thing or the thing? I agree that character creation in this is, especially in the higher levels, like, because you didn't learn from the ground up, where a lot of these guys got swept up, you know. I didn't think you did badly. Your guy stood his ground, took his shots, contributed, you know. Your guy actually reminds me of the character that I play in Doug's campaign, because we are looking at the very strong possibility of a season 3 of Rise. The consortium has been greenlit by Disney and Mongers together. You know, I will try to keep unpopular enough that I don't fall onto Disney's radar and they don't cancel me. So, you know, that's very encouraging for Doug, for him to do this season. And I've just got this scout/soldier gun bunny that just plods along with his little rifle and is like nothing really special in the way of all these OP powers or whatever. He just goes along and shoots at things. Just happy to be took a class.
Not to mention all the dog metaphors and dog jokes.
Yeah, it looks like
that dog. What race is that?
Clutunian, right?
Yeah.
I just listened to an audiobook where Luke is older and he has a 17-year-old son, and they go to their home planet, and they have this beautiful glass fountain. It's like their molten core of their planet is like molten glass, and it's erupted into this site and fountained out and hit the air thousands of years ago and became a holy fountain site, the spiritual that they worship or whatever. And the glass, the substance, is harder than steel. Like you can barely lightsaber it. And they find it very, very holy. And their entire planet has fallen under the Hutt jurisdiction, and their leader, their alpha, because they had kind of a chieftain society, sells his entire planet into slavery just to protect his people, something not getting wiped out by the Hutts and slavers and other races, and to keep this site intact. And this is why every dirty desert bandage dude, or every other dude, because there's about 3 or 4 races, the spiky guys and the melted human people and these bulldog jowly looking humanoids, all work for the Hutts, and they're their goons, they're their soldiers, they're their everything. Everywhere you go, there's these baggy, desert people. And I'm not talking about sand people, I'm just talking about your mismatched hodgepodge guy with a gun that's part of the Hutt gangs. And one of the 3 races are these Clintonians. And I just wanted to play one that was smarter than the average bear and has become part of a mercenary band. And I don't lead them, because sure as hell they don't want to listen to Jeff the GM, that now is Jeff the player. They like stepping on me. But I fear that my opportunity to play an overpowered character in this system is lost as I plod along in mediocrity. So my point is, I feel you, Drew. Like, to be thrown even from being this side of the chair and then suddenly be a player and going, what am I going to play? I don't know. For Doug, I've spoken with you, sir. We've talked at length about you enjoying the rules, making the numbers fit, having that itch that can't scratch, that if we're playing, something needs to be mentioned or something needs to be fixed or calculated. And it's just your style. It's just, I have it going on in the back of my head. Matt, Jay as well. A couple of us are a little... I don't like using terms like OCD and stuff about it. You've always put somebody in a box. Just think like that. We just play like that, It's an itch you got to scratch, right? And when we get to play and the numbers work or they don't work or we stop everything to find that one modifier, that one, okay, so he's in the air, but I have this feat that cancels something that would normally be a penalty. So I can make the shot. Oh, but it's at range. No, next range. So we got to put a penalty there. But he's got cover, so there's a bonus. Like in our mind's eye, in the theater mind, we're still watching this happen, very cinematic, whatever. But to see how interesting, how hard, how skilled it is to make that shot, and here we are, just stop the game cold, going this +5, -5. I don't know, is a kind of weird candy for us when you say, Doug. It's like we need the truth. We need the truth of the shot. We're not just going to hand wave and go, yes, he hits, no, he doesn't.
Set us free.
Yes, it's got to be that. I noticed, Drew, you're a very honest player. You yourself in our other games that Doug doesn't get to play with you, you will always make sure that, oh, hey, I have a penalty, or, but you won't necessarily call it the guy next to you, but you'll be like, oh, hey, I've got a penalty, I got a bonus. Okay, cool. Thank you for your honesty, right? Doug and I will sorry, but sorry, GM, so-and-so gets a bonus. Okay, cool. Sorry, GM, this guy gets a penalty. Like, we don't care what side of the screen we are. We just want we just want it to be truthful in the dice, pure in the dice rolls, right? And a lot of tables can't handle that. A lot of tables can't handle the interruptions or the stalling of the game. I think a large part of our fan base that we played to is the Rules Lawyer fan base. It's not big, and a lot of people want to enjoy a game that just flows, and ours starts and stops and starts and stops. Then there's joke tangents, But I'd like to think vastly entertaining in its own way. At the 30-minute mark, do you guys have anything quick? And by quick, I mean filling another 30 minutes because we do a whole episode here. anything you noticed about the past season, the past 8 seasons, podcasting with us, your thoughts as we were digging into the rules or whatever. I know, non-scripted, put you on the spot, eh?
I will say high-level Saga does not scale well. That it definitely starts to suffer its scale. I notice in my home game and in this game, it's just the defense rises so much faster than the offense does that it's hard to hit anybody after a while. So
hit anybody with like the players, because my module
it's hard to hit.
guys
It's
are
hard to
sucky.
hit players. Yeah, it's hard to hit players.
Okay.
Because it's so easy to beef up your reflex defense and your defenses and everything. So I just don't think they scale. I had house rules that I've actually reversed just to play against the way that the game scales. So like I was using MAC. It's you if you were rolling your skill against someone, there's a modifier that Stephen Cahill, Little Realist, put in his house rules for scaling the attack and stuff like that. And I ran those for a while until it started to benefit the player. And then I stripped it out and went back to base rules just because. But I do it openly and honestly with my players at the table and say, hey, look, I am there. You guys see that I'm not doing any damage to you whatsoever in this fight. So I am openly and honestly kind of manipulating the game to come for you guys a little more. You stay much cleaner to the premise, and there's no criticism of that at all. Just in my home game, I just openly and honestly tell them, look, I'm coming for you. I want to make it as challenging as possible without being, actually mean or evil. But it would be nice if you guys have to use your skills to heal each other up after the fights.
You do Rise of the Consortium with us. And I remember like mid-fight, you're beating the players down, self included. And these guys are like, yeah, this is a challenging fight. This is how it's done. Pause. No insertion of the name Jeff. But, it was something different. Your game is episodic, like this Wednesday afternoon mercenary life kind of thing. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to produce the show with you, for you, was because it's so different than your epic campaign. An audience has to fill in the gaps. Like when we came on the screen at 8th level, 7th level? This is what's going on. You gave us the backstory, and in we go. And
I think we started at 7th and 8th, and then I think we snapshotted up to 10th. And so what I wanted to do with that, what I love about doing with Consortium, is that we can kind of drop in with them. And we can kind of fill in the gaps. There might be, if we decide we wanted to, an 8th or a 9th level, and we just level the people to that. And that's just a different mission, and that's just who we have for that mission. The next one I have planned for us is actually, at least 6 months or a year after the last mission you guys went on. A lot has changed with the Consortium. Since you guys liberated what is now the new Zon Consortium headquarters, they finished investigating there, and that's now their base of operations. So, hoping you guys get to visit it again.
Oh yeah, no, because I guess something we need to clarify to make sense is when we would play Doug's game, it would be mid-November to January 1st. And this is when my real life, my work life got so busy and I was so tired, I wouldn't have been great in the chair. And I'm like, you got these 6 weeks where I could just show up, record and play, but not have the razzle dazzle and the energy to run the stream, run the game and GM. And he's filled this in. And because we shoot your episodes like once a year, or a couple years go by and then we hit you again, the new audience, the audience that isn't trying to catch up, has that they've gone away. Oh, they've come back. And a season later, they are here now, right? Which again is really cool. I enjoy some of these aspects of editing, production, of how would one present a show in time frame. Now, they say the secret of podcasting is consistency, and that's something that we try to have, but we run a pod 3 months, 6 weeks, or 10 months of a year, and then it stops, and we say, okay, this season's done. Please check out other shows, because this show, you're not going to see more episodes for several months as schedules change, as we try to shoot our other shows. We've had to cut back on some shows. We've shelved some. We're talking about this one coming back and that one coming back. But Star Wars was our first, and it gets the priority. It gets the seniority. It gets the limelight, and it may have stalled here and there. How far that we've gone. I mean, we are starting season 8. You'd think we'd be 7 years in, about to be our 8th year in, but we're 9 years in. We're like 9 years in.
Zeke says 9. Zeke in chat is telling us it's 9 years in. That's about right. I've been playing with you for half that time now.
Yes. I distinctly remember when I was asking him to come on board, he's like, well, are we going to finish this? Like, I don't want to be 10 years waiting for you guys to shoot. If I'm playing, I sure as hell don't want to wait 10 years to finish this campaign. How are we doing on that, Doug? We're like season. I got 3 books left, and this is probably going to take another 4 or 5 years. I have a fun idea. In our live chat right now, we have 2 of our biggest fans. Number 1 is a guy that we affectionately call Zeke, and he goes by Ezekiel First, King of First, in chat. Shows up for just about every Monday and Friday game. I mean, that's devotion. Okay? Next, a more recent Uber fan that's come on the last couple of years, Explosion. Sean, like Shaun of the Dead. Explosion, get it? Like,
He's
I
plural.
love this guy's hand.
It's plural.
Yeah, explosions, yeah. I love it. Actually plays Star Wars, DMs it, has his own campaign. Here's a fun idea. Hey guys, listening live, do you have a mic? Would you like to come in and join this discussion and weigh in on some of the things we are currently talking about, have talked about, and will be discussing for the rest of this episode, instead of just lurking and typing little quips in the chat? I dare you. I double dog dare you. Grab a mic. Yes. Who's got a mic? Call in. Get you guys in here live. I don't care about the quality. Okay, I always care about the quality. Maybe I'll fix it up in post.
I just couldn't get off the mute button fast enough to make fun of you for that, because I was like, of course he cares about the quality. He's going to pretend he doesn't care about the quality, but that's not what's important. It's the involvement. It's the
inside a little bit.
I saved up my Christmas money, my birthday money, my anniversary money, and I went from the mic that Doug actually bought because I use it a lot, the Audio Technica. Oh crap! 2050? What is that?
Yeah,
it's not a 2100.
I don't remember it.
2030. I think it's 2030.
I think it is the 2030.
Yeah, 2030. Because I wanted the mic that is the standard, and it's the SMB7. This $500-600 microphone. My wife's like, no. But everyone else, So it took me years. It took me like 5-7 years to save up, buy this thing, and you got to buy the Cloud Lifter. I've been using it for the last 6 months or year. Couldn't get it to work properly on the setup I had, and had to buy other gear and abandon gear to get this thing working. It makes me sound, I don't know, 90% as good as I might sound on the cheaper mic. That's still $250. But after we moved houses, the mic that you're using currently, Doug, which is a condenser mic, and that is a mic that has a big sort of flat disc in it to pick up your voice. Very warm microphone, peaks easily, but it's good podcasting, very warm type of thing. For the industry standard dynamic mic, which is your big, thick metal pin with the coil wrapped around it that you can scream into these. These sound a little bit thinner, a little less fresh, not as natural as the condenser mic. But my other mic was picking up so much of the room. Like, I'm going to say 10 feet behind me on the couch is my wife with her headphones playing a video game or watching her shows. Through this wall, behind my monitors, is my son gaming with his friends, screaming at the top of his lungs. And this was all getting picked up and ruining certain audio quality in my current home that I've lived in for the last 3 years. So that was my excuse to upgrade. And hopefully this mic, more of me and less of the room and less echo. And it's working. Even though technically, I'm pretty sure the best my voice, not me, my voice has ever sounded was that microphone under, certain conditions. So the chat's getting back to me. Okay. King of First, Zeke, he says, I wish I could call in. Only have a little longer before I'm leaving soon because of birthday celebration. So I was like, come on, man, you're going to go off to some birthday and not give the chance to like hang out with us because you hang out with us like every Monday, Friday. And then he's like, it's my birthday. Actually, his birthday was yesterday. They're celebrating it today. And I'm like, now what a great birthday present Mongers could give to you, that kind of thing. That's okay. Do you guys remember Silas Draver at the casino in book 3? This gambler that flips a table and shoots at everybody. And I got a fan, John, to play him, to voice him. I mean, it's an NPC. I kind of had to have him a script going. This is what he does. A couple lines, but go with it and make their roles and everything. And he sat in, had audio, but didn't have enough internet for video. He's here tonight. He's just came in the room, and his handle is The Dude. And I still talk to him on Discord, like chatting, messaging back and forth, And he's got his, I'm pretty sure you just told me it's a sports, like a football podcast, right? Right. So John. Shit, I really hope that's his name. It's been a while, man. Because I'm so used to the
and there's
dude,
a delay. You got to remember, there's also a delay between you saying it and it showing up in there. Amongst others.
We also have Explosion's like, give me a minute. He hasn't used Zoom in years. So now these guys are, I love this. In real time, these guys are like, shit, I can talk to them. They're downloading the app. Maybe they've used it. Maybe they're not. Come on, it's an open call. Dude, Sean, you guys got a mic? I don't care if it's a teeny little headset. You're fans of the show. You're fans of the system. You guys play D20. Come on with us. Like,
we will be taking your family hostage because that is the way that we bring fans onto the show. So it's a quid pro quo. When you want on the show, we put your family in chains. Very simple.
At risk. That does not sound very woke or funny at this point. It sounds pretty bad. Drew's shaking his head at me. No, Drew, you got it through our Pathfinder game.
Show this is a Star Wars far thing. Into this episode, we've covered it. I mean,
no, they all missed it. They have no idea what's going on.
They're finding this episode entertaining, And
some people, like the dude, consensually want to be put in chains. So, to each their own.
I chained him to an NPC that was probably doomed to die. I mean, how many people just like, okay, we've got you covered. We know you're low on hit points. You can walk out of here. Most players just murder hobo everything in Star Wars.
I did notice you let him run off with the luxury 3000 ship. And I'm not letting the party have this ship as well. He flew off into space.
Oh, no, you're thinking of Corey. You're thinking of Corey with the forearm. That's
right.
sorry.
Yeah. That's sorry. I'm mixing them up.
Corey Chazon, like Matt Witt and Ryan, is somebody I know in real life.
Later.
And we built Monster Interrupted, the dungeon game, the Abomination Vault. We built that show around him. And it's like, when you can't show up, we're going to play Outlaws of Alcazar, which is awesome. And when you do show up, we're going to do the dungeon crawl with you. And I have 2 shows on Monday, and we flip back and forth based on one guy's attendance. It's weird, but it's working pretty good. He played Ramagilligar. And here's something, again, to the players. Corey is not up on the rules. He just he's like on the open mic. How do I do this? What do I press? What, we don't have professionals that we pay to play with us, guys. We have friends that played back in the day, and we just throw them in. And the current cast is so kind, so patient, and so accepting of these guys where we had an idea, they jump in, So they threw me into an episode, says the dude. Yeah, but you had a role. We had talked back and forth, I think we were trying you out as an NPC because that's all I had going at the time. I didn't have much room anywhere else, and we weren't sure about your scheduling there. Yeah, he was an NPC. I'm pretty sure if we could get these guys, we're like reading what they're saying in chat as if they're talking on the mic, and they're like, "Oh yeah, when I interviewed so and so." Here we go. Hey, there he is. Oh, we could see you too. How's it going, man?
Well, you pretty even good. How's it going for everyone else?
Not bad. I like so I say, "How you doing?" and he waves. We are podcast first. I know we have video, but remember, 90% of our 90% of our audience are
great shirt. May the 4th shirt. Great shirt.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Now, if I understand this correctly, you've actually already played the Dawn of Defiance campaign from beginning to end with your players. Isn't that true?
Yeah, we finished, I think it was last December.
Right. What advice do you have to the We Shot First guys?
I don't know, because I played it in the Star Wars 5e system, because that's what my party was more accustomed to.
That's right. You translate the whole thing. So you used the maps and that sort of thing, but you ran basically 3rd edition rules on it.
Yes.
Blasphemy. No.
I prefer 3.5 stuff, but you play with what your party can do.
Yeah. No, we've talked about converting Star Wars to Starfinder or Pathfinder because I love the Pathfinder system, but I'm using Saga because I like it, but I'm not great at it. And these guys have pretty much been my crutch and have carried me. It's become more and more obvious every year. But no, thanks for joining the show. So as we said before, Sean, you've been a fan of the show for the last few years. When did you? That sounds like I'm tooting our own horn, but I can't help it. When did you first find us? How did you find us? Let's start with a little origin story before Sean is allowed to weigh in with his professionalism.
I had just recently started running it for my party, and I was looking for another group who would run it just to kind of get some ideas, see how people ran things, and yours was the first one that came up. And so I started listening, and I really enjoyed it. So I stayed and continued to listen, even when we moved past where you guys had been.
Okay, so let me ask you this: we're playing Saga. You're out of the world of 3.5, and you guys want to play 5e, and you're converting things on the fly. Like, are you the GM that's actually doing the math converting, or is there source material to convert Dawn of Defiance out there?
No, a buddy of mine had sent me a link to GM's binder that had just a huge list of modules for 5e Star Wars, and in them there was one that was, "We have converted all of Dawn of Defiance. Here you go."
Okay. Now, I gotta say, before we continue, for what audio quality unfortunately is lacking, he makes up for in video. Like, we got this great shot of Sean where it's the head and shoulders of a t-shirt, right? And the background behind him is like a gray pillow and a gray curtain, very Star Wars. And he's got this great down from up opposite, which is usually bad lighting, but it makes him look so ominous. And he's got the goatee going. Like, I love what I'm seeing here, dude.
Not to mention the lightsabers.
The lightsabers poking up on a t-shirt. Like, what we're lacking in audio, I highly suggest you meet Sean on our Mongers YouTube channel, because you can see him when he talks. It pops in.
We'll link his OnlyFans down below, so check it out.
Try to keep your feet out of the shot, dude. Don't listen to him. I had to put that in there because, like, for someone that we literally just yanked out of the verse to have yourself going, I'm figuring that the lighting is actually coming off of your monitors or laptop. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. Oh, you got some good Emperor ambience going on there, my man. So my next question for you, we talked about the way you got the 5e. I guess would be, before we again move forward and get all the questions and answers that we promised you, the real reason you're here. You listening to the show, was there a point you were hooked? Was it, because usually people that talk to me online, it's generally our table reminds them of like a real table at home, or the chemistry, or the fact that we care about the rules, but we don't care how it's executed. So there isn't any arguing. Like in 8 years, there's like been 4 arguments at my table, 4, and they've been live, and it usually involves me and Doug or me and Matt, but that's it. Like 4 arguments in 8 years, like that's something, right? I'm assuming most tables I've sat at, arguments happen like every night. So there's a lot of arguing at your table, Sean?
There have been a few points where there have been disagreements that may or may not have caused players to quit. I did not have the same group that I ended with as what I began with.
Okay. I'd like to say that I chose my players carefully, but a lot of it has been luck. A lot of it has been patience on their part, because I do have a very rambling, tangenty style. I'd say they're way more patient with me than I am with them. But getting back to what you love about our show. Yeah, sorry. I'm just curious because we, our fans out there and the listeners are numbers, and we would like them to be more than numbers, but so many of our fans don't engage in the community. I see stats. Someone in Taiwan picked up the show and downloaded 400 episodes, and I can see this on my stat blocks in the provider. You know, and oh, look at this, and I'll even mention it on the show, or I'll reach out. There's Dublin, Ireland. There's somebody in Dublin that's been downloading everything off of SoundCloud that we've ever produced. And we're like, hey, say hello, reach out. Thank you so much for listening. Like, look at these numbers, so great. Like, you know, stand up and be known. And so many of our fans are just, no thanks, like nothing. I'm not saying they're ghosting us, because they're still listening and they're still popping up as numbers. So having someone vocal like yourself that would text us or show up every night, we love it. We're, unfortunately for us, thirsty for it. We're just like, tell us. I'm not digging for praise, but what I am digging for is a perspective of, you're running 5e. There's not a lot of Star Wars Saga out there. There's a handful. A podcast that I would highly recommend is the Dark Times podcast. Their first season focuses on the gameplay, statistical, building rules of the Saga system. It's not a live play, actual play podcast. It's 2 guys discussing their love of Star Wars and the system. And they have the best Abbott-Costello chemistry, like hands down. These guys are great. You get your straight man, you get your loose cannon, and these guys are great. And both Doug and I followed them with Aiden religiously for most of their first season. Learned, looked into the things they talked about. And I highly recommend them. Right out of the gate, they had said, oh, we're looking at other, we're doing this show and we're going to talk about Star Wars and Saga. Let's have a look and see what's out there. And they found a handful of the podcasts that have tried, failed, started, stopped, a handful of us, including us, and reached out. And one of their casts said, okay, we mentioned you. Ball's in your court. We gave you a free plug. How about you mentioning us on yours or reaching out? And I instantly fell in love with these 2 guys. I'm like, oh, hell yes. These guys think like I do, right? I reached out and all this. And I'd like to say that just like Drew and Doug, built a relationship. Not so much. These guys have sent me very kind emails. Audio that I sent in covering a subject where I just started getting excited and spewing off about something. They've actually put my audio clip with other of the Star Wars Saga community right into their show. You can actually hear my voice twice, like in their show. And it was one I was talking about this system, one I was talking about something else, and it was terrible. It wasn't rehearsed. I sound terrible. Skip those episodes. You don't want me there. But that was my experience with another Star Wars podcast that got me hooked on them. Was their chemistry, was their delivery, and it was useful material. So you're telling us now that you wanted to see someone else run it. Well, if it's a different system, you're not really getting much on the whole, how they run Saga versus how you're running Saga is 5e. So not much from GMing. And I certainly wouldn't recommend my GM style to anybody. I'm more of a game show host than a good GM. I guess my question for you is, why are you still here? What's wrong with you, man? We're okay, but...
So, first of all, there's probably a lot of things wrong with me. But one thing that I really enjoy is I'm really into the crunch of systems. Like 5e is fine. It's really good for a first RPG for someone, but I was taught and raised on 3.5. So very similar to Saga Edition, and so I really like all the intricacies and complexities that you can get from having a fine mastery over the system to really abuse the rules, but not like, abuse the rules as in I'm purposefully ignoring certain things, like stuff you get like peasant rail gun, that sort of thing. And so that aspect really appealed to me, and the characters are all just a lot of fun. I'm a big fan of Doug's character and Matt's character, and Merrick is Merrick.
Was that a compliment for Messina or insult? Because I would like that quoted live if you don't mind.
It's a compliment.
Are we talking about the character or the player? Because in Ryan's defense, when he's at work or away from his kids, he does dig in. He finds some really cool things. He builds a solid guy, a powerful guy. When he shows up to play, his day starts at like 3 or 4 in the morning. He goes to work, or he's flying home, landing in Windsor, getting off a plane, hanging out with his kids for a few hours, lucky enough they're little enough to go to bed at like 7, and he's dead tired. Shows up, has a drink in him, and just plays solid and fades from there. And that's why he's like all over the map sometimes. I love Ryan. He's so much fun. He brings so much unique energy to the show, but not always top of his game as far as attending or awake when he plays. So I hope that's not sidled your view of Merrick.
No, Merrick makes a great foil to Matt's character. They wouldn't be the same without each other.
Awesome. Thank you. That's actually very high praise. They are friends in real life. I know Matt, and Matt introduced me to Ryan. So I had to have their characters together because they have real life chemistry as friends. Right? I actually met Ryan through Matt. I know I'm going to open a can of worms here. Why do you like Doug's character?
Because droids are cool. They're the second coolest race in Star Wars.
What's number 1?
Trandoshans, giant lizard men.
There you go. We had a guy on for 5 minutes back in Lost footage before we actually launched, and he did the Transdoshan pissy hiss perfectly, and Matt loved this guy. And I think actually based his new Monday character, some Yantai snake dude who's a paladin that constantly calls you snack, playing your little frog dude, off of this player, off of this, cameo. He was so impressed with the guy's version of Transdoshan. I think it stuck with him for years, and now he's playing this other thing. And that's one of the things I love is you meet people, and even if you lose them, they leave an impression on your game style, on your table. Good or bad, they're always teaching you about how great this game is, good and the bad of it, I do want to thank you, sir, for coming on at like the last possible second. Do you have any questions for us?
I don't think so. I'm just happy to watch. Glad we're finally back.
Yes.
I do want to know why you always want to use your patron points against the players. I've noticed a tendency.
So I have had to GM for some really obnoxious players. And when I say obnoxious, I mean their builds are significantly stronger than they probably should be. And so I
have no idea what you mean by that, and I, take umbrage at the suggestions.
So
good on you, sir.
We call them optimized. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sean.
I can't blame you because I do the same thing, but I've also been in the GM's chair, and so I know how annoying that is. And it's the Empire. I mean, they're the Empire. You gotta support them rather than a bunch of filthy sister-kissing rebels.
Oh. Well played, sir. I like that one. Sissy sister kissing rebels. Can you say that 5 times fast? Sissy sister playing rebels. Yes, I had the sissy. He didn't say that, but that's how my brain works. Like a tongue twister. So as he has revealed, because I didn't want to put anyone on a tier, Sean is one of our upper tiers in our Patreon monarchy, where I didn't want every fan just throwing, stick it to them, help them, In the higher tiers, we have this thing called a patron point, and I use it to change the game, usually bail players out in the Pathfinder games, or give them that one when the dice really hate them. Well, we could, what if this was a thing, For instance, in season, I want to say 6, we, from my lack of information on the module, the rules about hacking or whatever, we allowed Jay further access into the net, the HoloNet on Coruscant that he may or may not have been able to do in a little ATM on the side of the street kind of thing by spending a patron point in his favor. And after that, I think that's when Sean here came out of the woodwork and went, oh, hell no. And every time a month goes by, or I know they're building up, because when we play, we spend them faster than they're earned by the patron months later, but we will play Friday night, we'll do 2 episodes, and then those get released 10 days later, and they get pushed further and further back. Like, we just finished shooting most of season 3 of a Pathfinder game, Age of Ashes, and the episodes are going to track and drop well into July, even though we finished here. And I'm thinking, well, tonight we're recording in April, but this is going to drop 1st of July. The audience would know about a patron point because this person has earned it. So I've been spending Sean's points on credit. No one seemed to have noticed or caught me on it. Like every other Friday, I'm mentioning a patron point, even though it's one a month per patron, spending them on gratis, forwarded credit. Well, sir, I thank you for your help in Patreon, where I might have an excuse, not to stick it to the players, but to, let's say, balance the scales. That's patreon.com/rollmongers if you want to get in on that, if that's your jive, if you want to help support the show. We have tiers from $2, $5, $10, and a little bit further.
So I have an idea I want to pitch.
Sure.
For good branding for the show.
Okay.
I was thinking we could get thirst traps of our characters done as a sort of branding thing to,
I'm sorry, first draft?
You just want to see Merrick
thirst traps. You know what a thirst trap is?
That might draw some attention from the wrong side of the internet.
That is true. We can only post it on DeviantArt.
Are you talking about Merrick in a diaper doing the baby Huey with his hips stuck out? It's in his pinky at his lips, ooh.
I guess that might be a thirst trap for some, but yeah, I mean, essentially, it's the guy who decides to just has to have his shirt off when he takes that selfie pic. After he does the workout, he takes the picture in the mirror, or the woman who takes the picture from just the right angle. Thirst trap. They make you thirsty. You're trying to get the looks.
Oh, okay.
See it for all of them. Pathfinder, Star Wars. You could do a thirst trap calendar for all the characters for the merch store.
I don't know if it's a market I really want to break into or have the time for, but interesting. Like I said, as producer and editor and GM, I'm open to all listening, at least listening to all the ideas. Yeah.
I think
you're going to scare Sean away before we get our hands on him. Well, now that he's here, we got to set him up with a good mic so we can at least have him cameo. What do you say, Sean? You want to do a cameo in the show in season 8 or 9 or 10? Only cost you $200 worth of gear that you have to put up. I mean, that's a good deal, right?
Maybe.
Yeah, we're getting desperate. This is all I need is another player. So I'm talking about you working for me, my side of the screen. You know what I mean? We'll give you some, we'll break into book 9 now while we're running book 8, and we'll see. I have an idea. I have teased a trailer that I just released yesterday, and it is the Star Wars Crawl creator. You have the Star Wars Crawl, and in the front of every book of Dawn of Defiance they have a possible crawl that you could read or show to the players. and it's the hint of the season. Meanwhile, on Alderaan, blah blah blah, all stuff is happening, right? And the players are supposed to be screaming at the table, going dun 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 dun, all the James Williams music, and you scroll this stuff. There is a website put up by Kessel Labs where you can type in anything, and it will play the music and show you the slow crawling Star Wars, right? I can't use that music, so I cut it out, use the crawl, zoom in to take out all the watermarks, and sometimes use our own, but usually use the Dawn of Defiance verbatim script as a crawl. This year, and you will see it in the upcoming episodes on video, and if you haven't seen it, go to the Mongers YouTube and look for Star Wars Season 8 crawl teaser, is what we're calling it.
It's also posted in the Star Wars Saga Edition Reddit, if you happen to be
thank
there.
you. Have you seen this yet, Sean? You know what I'm talking about?
Like this specific video, or just
It's
like
just like a 2-minute video.
I had not watched it yet.
Okay, can we do like a reaction video right now? Have you? Well, it's a podcast. This is not going to there'll be a moment of silence and some blurry back music while you guys imagine Sean reacting to this trailer I slapped together in the middle of the night when I was supposed to be sleeping, get up work early today. We had commissioned an artist, a great guy in Europe, who goes under Seeker Art, as an SCACAR, like Seeker Art. And he's very affordable. You hit up an artist for a portrait, 25 black and white, $50 color, a full standing character, start at $50 to $200. This guy gave us 5 characters, full length, in color, standing on a backdrop where they're standing on the ship. And it was, and I asked for whatever copyright rights and whatever you want to add to the bill so that I can use this, without you getting upset or whatever. And it was very, very affordable. I don't think I should quote the price because I don't know if he gave me a special deal. Very, very affordable. My daughter had reached out and found this guy and gave us a cool cartoon comic book style black and white that you've seen posted as the tag or thumbnail in the earlier seasons. I'm sure you've seen these, Sean. It's the first cartoon one, and it's got Frank Hamilton's character in the ghillie suit crouching in the front. That shot. And then we colored it. My wife took some expensive pencils and colored it, and then I used that shot as the thumbnail in certain artwork and certain places on placing the podcast. And then I reached out to him again and got this color shot on the ship. In this trailer, he had sent me, like, back and forth. He had sent, you ever see someone sketch superheroes and they start off with the blue stickman frame, and then they erase it and start doing the character over top of it in pencil, and they adjust so that the person actually has like a skeletal structure and stands, and his arms are proportionate and stance is all proportionate. They draw everything in blue pencil and then erase as they draw over it. Cartoon artists and stuff do this all the time. Have you guys ever seen these? He had sent me a bunch of sketches as his progress. So in the beginning of the Star Wars music of on the internet, they have all these Star Wars creators that make similar to James Williams music, but not the real deal. Very Star Wars-esque that you can use copyright royalty free. Note to self, probably need to tag those guys in the actual video I just posted. I'm showing as the opening Star Wars theme for us for the season comes this artwork and his phases of him doing the blue and then the people. There's a great shot of like TLXS. He does the little dino arms with them extended and then retracted, like he's deciding how to pose your little clutchy arms, and I'm showing it right in that artwork. And then it shows the final color shot we've been using for the last couple of years, and then bam, big Star Wars theme with the music, and then we do the crawl. At the end of the crawl, I found artwork where he had the ship, a Gatroc 720, all gray. He hadn't colored it red. And you guys are currently running around in a stock 720, a new one that you found, that's just a base gray. And I'm like, this is perfect. I don't have to spend the money again. Like, this is currently what your ship looks like. So at the end of the trailer, Sean's probably watching it right now. It's got it real quiet on me. You get to see this shot of the crew on the ship. And I penciled in a big question mark and X'd out in red 2 eyes on one of the characters because we do not know his current fate. He is missing. He was not in the last season. They don't know if he was dead, captured, alive, or dead. When the characters left him, one of the main players, been here for like 6-7 seasons, they step away. When they came back to where he was supposed to be, he was gone. The place had been raided, bodies were left, and then the players were attacked. And we did a season 7, and no word from this character or player. The person that we suspect may have taken him or killed him shows up. A bad guy that we thought was dead in book 4 shows up in book 7 at the end and doesn't even give us the time of day. Steals Master Dina and takes off into the verse. And then you guys learn, spoiler, that somebody that we thought was an ally turns out to be a plant, a mole, an enemy of us, still working for the Empire. Dun, dun, dun. And these guys are now running around the galaxy's most wanted. There's going to be 6 months between book 7 and book 8 where we're going to touch in with TLXS, maybe returning to Zelzon Station and getting a big upgrade or data dump with Dr. Leth with Switch, the gangster. We need to delve into, and I'm excited as I am frightened about this, the whole aspect of the Jersey Force. Total homebrew crap coming up with for Rahul Oberus. Pause there before I spoil anything else. Sean, what's your take on the Jersey Force? Fun joke, but have we gone too far? Like literally bringing dice mechanic of it into the game?
Fun mechanic, fun idea. I don't know. You don't really have any Force users right now, so giving Matt some Force powers with that isn't too bad of an idea as long as it doesn't get too ridiculous.
I had looked through a whole bunch of alternate Force traditions and looked at how they worded and the power, and then flipped them into like banking and accounting things. He sends his money. He goes into the holiday, like the stuff. I printed this out for him and said, Matt, what do you think of this? And it was the Jersey Force alternate tradition, and all the powers, whether he takes this tree or that tree, are sort of tongue-in-cheek. They give bonuses, and they're interesting for gathering information and a whole bunch of stuff. Not so much combat, except the fact that we've decided that since he became a telekinetic savant, that they all are. Their biggest combat thing is their natural telekinetic users. Well, they'll float things. They're not big on lightsabers. You know, they'll make something happen over there, like tip over a desk or open a cash register, or in his case, float a freaking vibrosaw all over my campaign, which is so annoying but so funny at the same time.
Well, at this point, Rahal, to John's point, Rahal and Merrick are the only OG characters that were on Zelzon Station when the campaign began.
Dr. Leth, was he not there?
Oh, that's true. No, you're right. Dr. Leth was there. So those 3.
Yeah.
TLXS could have been on the station, just not active.
Yeah.
He was the pile of junk in the corner in that room that they were working on, and then like, okay, they've left. They pull out this drawer, and he's like half-built droid on it. Let's get back to work on our prototype, you know. Like a Frankenstein kind of scenario. Will you put your consciousness into the model once it's complete, Master? This is what Doug's afraid of. That I'm going to take Switch, the gangster, this skinny, you know, smart but not very combative gangster droid, and hijack his brain and pull out his hard drive, stick in Switch, and have this unstoppable killing machine. He's going to lose a character.
I will just say that I have a hidden core in my processor, so to beat that, you need a 30 DC will save. I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm just saying that I have the stats if he tries.
This is either going to be a fun way to flavor and roleplay just some basic in between the game, like because they do crafting stuff, and I'll admit to Matt, because it came up in a big loud way, I was never big into downtime crafting and homebrew and all that type of stuff. It just seemed to be that the adventure had magical themed items and things that they could find, as opposed to like, hey, you know what we need? Hang on a second, let's take a month off while the forest burns and the Fey Queen dies a little bit more and loses 20% more of her people. Because I looked through a book and I've heard of the legend of, I want a Kmart staff that does this, thank you, DM, threw money. There's so much of a infrastructure and magical items. It just seemed kind of wrong, play against the story version. Now I get as a player, players go, I would really like this thing, and you work it into the story. I'd even rather do that. Trying to stay with the story, items and things and places they find. In Star Wars, everybody knows what's available. The only way you can find out something new is by watching Star Wars Maul, the Shadow Lord, and see how this tiny flying little droid can hack the crap out of stuff from a mile away. Oh, well, Disney made it canon. All these things I used to restrict from you guys are off. Let's get into slicing, because I saw it and I'm all inspired by the way Disney did it. Sure, you guys can have the $5,000 computer. Everyone gets a $5,000 computer. It's usually the way it goes with most players. Players see it in canon and they want it. In Star Wars, let them craft what they like because there's so much out there and everyone knows what's available, as opposed to a restrictive fantasy world. These guys are going to have 6 months to craft a whole bunch of stuff. And Doug suspects, and Sean knows, isn't this mean at this point to give them 6 months to make their own MacGuffins? And then, I don't want to spoil things, but a heavy suspenseful hint, have the module literally say, nah, it's not going to work, can't have these toys right now. Because of the conditions of the adventure, you got to go in, can't be carrying your railgun. Can't be carrying your, Uber Duplex Durasteel droid armor because ... I'm looking at this like, this is so mean. They're going to run around, buy all this stuff, craft all this stuff, and then the adventure says, oh, no. We're going to
give them a teeny bit of extra time to craft the stuff that they could take with them. But it
seems kind of mean
too. It is.
What do you think, Sean? You think that's mean or just par for the course?
I mean, when I ran it, I had a player who would not be able to play his character, so he just had to play like a separate character for the entire book because he cannot remove all the gear and stuff from his character.
Oh, like a cyborg?
He was playing an astromech, but it was a very heavily modified, he was the equivalent of the artificer class, so all of his abilities are literally tied to his gear. And if he does not have it, he does not have a class.
And he would have been gone through enough inspection on that they would have found his modifications.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's something I'm worried about you. Like, let's say there's a checkpoint and they're very thorough. You got your little hatch. Like, that worked before. And even if we pass you off as somebody's bodyguard, maybe we need to invest some money that you have better compartments or something.
I am. So 2 things real quick on that, and let the pod hear this. So I have had a holdout blaster in my arm and a fire blade in my other arm since I showed up that I have never pulled out. My hands drop and they spring load out.
Okay. Do they have like an X-ray scanner where they can scan the droid and see inside?
Yeah, and
components?
so I'm willing to take those off. I've never played them, so it's not like a big loss to me to have those taken out during the 6 months. I also am okay with just going in with a stun baton.
No, hang on a second. Like, I love that idea. That's what they need. Hidden weapons. Yeah. I'm asking the two of you, does Star Trek in this adventure have that kind of tech where they have like a way of checking a droid internals where they could find that stuff?
Yeah, we're all laughing at your misspeak, but we won't hold it against you for very long. You said
I believe the term
Trek.
you're looking for is called a Jeffism in Star Trek.
Well, you called it
Did
Star
I say
Trek.
that?
Yeah, you called it Star Trek.
Oh, I'm sorry. I will admit, I'll take on the hate.
That will cost you 4 force points.
Why do you? Everyone loves Firefly and Trek and Star Wars. Why is it got to be like one or the other? They're bringing back Firefly as an animated series. Yeah, you know this, right? They're bringing back Firefly as an animated series.
Yep.
Yeah, can't wait for that. Started rewatching the series with the wife again. Yeah.
I'm actually going to Comic-Con at the end of this month, and most of Firefly is going to be there, so I'm pretty excited for that.
Oh man, that's so cool. I'm not a convention kind of guy myself, but I tell you, I would love to meet Alan Tudyk. I am a huge Alan Tudyk fan. We binged Resident Alien. Such a good show. He's just an alien that comes down to Earth, and the guy is so not really into what's going on. Hides in a small town. It's really good.
He's
probably
amazing.
one of his
He's
best
in
performances.
Too.
Yeah,
he really has.
First time I saw Alan Tudyk was at a Transformer movie, and he was the German henchman of one of the characters called Dutch, and he was hyper active, hyper aggressive, and he pulls guns, and I just love this silly character, and then started seeing him and everything. So Sean, you were talking about your favorite characters are Tail XS and Rahal Oberys. Do you know where Matt got his voice from? Why he does that accent?
I do not.
Because Ryan wanted to literally take the Heavy, and that's what he's called, the Heavy, from a game called Team Fortress 2, which is this big Russian guy. I even asked the commission artist to say, draw me the guy from Team Fortress 2, but not copyright exact, right? And if you look at the artwork for the guy called the Heavy, huge guy with a great big minigun, Russian accent, calls the gun Sasha, and says it costs $50,000 to fire Sasha for 30 seconds. You know, like somewhere between Arnold and a Russian. Ryan pitches this character to us, and his Russian accent was so easy to absorb, like just so natural, and he was sort of like so out of tune, and yet so dialed into like whatever was in front of him. We're like, oh yeah, you gotta play this guy. And Matt starts laughing. We say, why? He says, I swear to God, he says, I did not talk to Ryan about this. I was literally thinking of doing the Brooklyn accent from the little guy called the Scout in that game. And he quotes him. And there's this little tough Brooklyn guy with a baseball cap and a bat. And he says, this and this and this, and brother, I hurt people. You know, and he does the accent, and we're just loving this. He's like, okay, so picture me in a zoot suit that's striped. The fedora and all this stuff. Like, I'm a former separatist. These guys were pitching all these ideas. I had actually come up with the idea for Poser. We were talking about, you know, do we get a Jedi? You only get one. I don't want to be a whole forced party, all this stuff, because we were playing this around the table. It's really difficult to play a Jedi on this campaign, the way players usually go at it. So guys, we should only have, so we have this rule, only one Force user, one Jedi. But I allowed multiple Force sensitives, and that was my mistake, because slowly Rahal's caught up with this. And I pitched the idea to Matt. I said, Matt, wouldn't it be cool if we had a Jedi that's a kid, you know, some older than a Padawan, but not, you know, like teenager or something. He's all broody, and you do the, and I'm not sure if this is a current woke term, but it was a big term, 80s, 90s, an emo kid. He's got the guy liner, and he's such a poser, and you know, he gets into a metal band or some dark death band, and that he hides in plain sight. Dude's a total poser, and that was a term that we used in the 80s and 90s of people that got dressed up but were not authentic. Like the 80s hair bands that were all big hair and stuff like Aerosmith, but not legit metal, like your old AC/DC and Metallica kind of stuff. And there was that sort of division in that genre. Jack Black did a video game about a roadie, put himself in a video game that made fun of half of the 80s and 90s big hair metal bands versus your classic rock that were legit. And this gave me this idea for this character. He's a poser, he's a sham. I said, shit, that's his name. We'll call him Poser Sham. Matt loved this idea. What we didn't like was the fact that Matt was usually the lead of most of my shows. And if we made him the Jedi, he would really take up too much of the room. So let's give the Jedi to somebody else. And you play whatever you want. And then you'll be a lead. And then whoever plays the Jedi will have a big important role beside you. Because if you're the Jedi and yourself, you know, you're the whole room. So we said, cool, I agree. and whoever plays a Jedi plays a Jedi. We got Aiden Willems on board, and he was mucking around with an idea, and he did this voice for his character. A guy's hiding and wants to be in a band. I said, "Oh, you want to be in a band, do you? You're going to hide as a musician in plain sight?" He said, "Yeah, that was my idea." So I pitched him Poser Sham, and he loved it. And that was it. Just a basic idea. I do not want to take credit for Aiden's Poser Sham, because what I had pictured and the way Aiden took this character, molded him, ran with him, made him his own, was amazing. The fact that he would walk across a room and ignore combat and had this axe, vibroblade, guitar, couldn't hit anything with it because he was trained at a lightsaber. It had all these penalties with immediately. It was just hilarious. You guys notice Poser never actually hit anything with his guitar for like 4 seasons, but he'd have the odd power and make somebody bleed to death. Anyway, my point in Ramble is some characters are an idea, just a joke, just a parody or a happy surprise or something based or stolen from another fun idea. And these guys play them, shape them, make them their own, right? Even TLX, which you think would be kind of a one-note kind of character, Doug started off mucking around with his voice modulator, and then we upgrade him. Now he uses his own voice, and he's gone from being something black and white and stoic to being a character that cares about the party, has his own little quirks, that kind of thing, all this character growth. Question for you, Sean, is at your table, have you ever had a player do that where you ran with like a parody idea and actually became a very fun, legit character that carried through?
So one of my characters who was playing was Goliath. He was a Gamorrean bodyguard who carried a vibro axe, and his whole shtick was he would after he would do something, he would always offer his data pad to someone and ask for them to rate how well he guarded them.
Like a Yelp review, 5 stars, I lived.
Yep. And so that made for some... Oh, and his dream was to work as a guard for a hut. And so towards the books where you have to fight Darga, there were some interesting things that happened.
I could see your Clatunian picking up that habit.
I know, that's why I'm laughing. That's exactly what I'm thinking. But sorry, Sean, keep going.
And then, so he eventually keeps playing. He became a bodyguard and he had a bunch of stealth abilities for some reason. Like, he was slightly force sensitive just so that he could get past the Gamorreans unable to speak basic. So he would just telepathically speak to people. But he also took a bunch of force stealth abilities. So he was this ninja Gamorrean. And he would guard people from the shadows, them not even knowing that he was there guarding them. And it ends up my post-game thing where I write a little spiel about everybody. He owns his own Gamorrean bodyguard business, but he would always offer his services to rebel high dignitaries for free.
Nice. Oh, that's so good. And funny because you guys, Sean, have you listened to Rise of the Consortium, Doug's show?
Yes, so I have.
Ryan has a character that has all this shadow force cloak ability, and we call him out as this asshole that barely wants to be with the party, protects his own skin, bails on us in the middle of combat by going invisible and shit. No, it's just this running joke where Ryan and I butt heads and get into it. He actually is a really good sport about me just deciding to insult him as a player and lambaste him. He's really, really good sport about the back and forth that we have going in that show.
I loved being able to throw another cloaking Jedi at his cloaking force user on the bridge. If you'll recall, there was a Jedi that spent most of that fight invisible. I have no idea how it sounded to the audience or the players, but since she was invisible and doing stuff every single round for half that fight until before y'all saw her, she was sort of popping out and doing stuff and then recloaking.
Oh, I remember that. I kind of got the idea that there was someone watching us through cameras or whatever.
No, she was just invisibly cloaked.
Oh, very cool. But again, even better jamming style where the players don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? You get, invisible. Okay, we spray can and throw flour at the square where they think they are because that's invisible fighting 101. I like your idea better where you were vague enough about it that we were like, what is going on? You know? So, no, kudos to you as a GM, man. That's awesome. Well, guys, we're at a 90-minute mark, which is a classic just over an hour to an hour and a half max. I especially want to thank Sean for showing up and listening to us more than actually getting to talk. Sorry.
I didn't have much to say anyway.
It is May the 4th. This episode is dropping, and we are getting revved up to record, shoot, and produce another season. We may change the timeline. These episodes normally drop on the 10th, 20th, and 30th, and we may, due to scheduling, may have to spread them out to 2 a month instead of 3. This is not confirmed yet. I would very much like to give you the 3 episodes a month that we normally do. I don't want to slow down the pod. I do not want to slow down your absorption of it, but due to certain new working constraints, I may have to, because we can't record as many in a month, I may have to stretch them out a little bit more, so please be warned. Again, not sure, but just a little heads up. Doug, Drew, thank you so much for being with us tonight. We are going to end the episode here and go off and talk amongst ourselves some things that unfortunately I cannot record. We need to discuss Drew returning for another season, if he even wishes to. Are we going to write out his bounty hunter? Are we going to bring in a brand new character for Drew? Are we going to just cut him out because 5 party members are way too powerful as it is and I can't handle it? I will tell you this. Joe Gibson has been confirmed to join us in season 8, because if you got, and I can't say why, but Doug suspects and Sean knows a guy with 4 arms that can fight without weapons is going to be very, 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 very handy in this adventure. So I've asked Gibson, he was going to step out. It's like, you keep showing up and kind of showing up. Like let's lean into your character. This is your season, man. This is the time where we can, the audience has like had a taste of you here in 6 and 7. Let's get into it. Sure, I'm down. I'll totally play. Where is he tonight? He's traveling for work. So maybe I should give everyone this force cloak ability and this, they're hiding in the shadows, I have to spend my next hour not online, but asking Doug and Sean how they would perhaps have characters written in and out constantly without stopping the action. Thank you all for joining us tonight. May the 4th be with you, and we will see you all next time.
I keep the force to myself, up because the Emperor ruined it for everyone else. We gotta find a place to hide. Guess we're going underground now. Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. But I've been rocking it since order 66 now. The force is strong and I feel it still. Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. What the Emperor say, order 66 now. But the force is strong and I feel it still. Gotta make it out to thee. Gonna reason with the senators, try to make it better now. But somewhere out there's gotta be free. I guess we'll head to Alderaan now. Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. I've been rocking it since order 66 now. The force is strong and I feel it still. Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. What the Emperor say, order 66 now. But the force is strong and I feel it still. We should fight a war for peace. Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. Resurrect the Jedi, bring the Emperor down to his knees. The Sith mean nothing to me. I should strike them all down now. Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. There'll be no acquittal for the Sith who killed the little Padawan. He is my enemy.
Is he coming? 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 Is he coming back?
Ooh. 66, and I'm gonna keep on going till the galaxy is fixed now. Cause the force is strong, and I feel it still. Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. I've been rocking it since Order 66 now. The force is strong, and I feel it still. Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. What the Emperor say, Order 66 now. But the force is strong, and I feel it still. Cause the force is strong, and I feel it still.